Why dogs follow you from room to room becomes easier to understand the moment you stop thinking about obedience and start noticing the small sounds around your house. The shift of the couch cushion when you stand up, nails tapping softly across hardwood, the pause outside the bathroom door. Your dog was asleep seconds ago, then somehow, without a word, they are beside you again. Most people assume this behavior means attachment, maybe anxiety, maybe boredom. But a study from Itos-Laurent University, published in 2020, found that dogs monitor human movement with a sensitivity surprisingly similar to human infants tracking parents inside unfamiliar environments. Your dog is not simply watching where you go, they are measuring what your movement means. And once you understand what they are actually searching for, the ordinary rhythm of your home starts looking completely different tonight. Most dog owners eventually notice the same strange pattern. Your dog does not always need something when they follow you. The food bowl is full, the back door is closed, nothing obvious is wrong. Yet the moment you leave the room, they rise and follow anyway. That creates an uncomfortable question. Is your dog emotionally dependent on you? For years, people interpreted shadowing behavior as clinginess caused by domestication. But attachment studies from the University of Veterinary Medicine Vienna in 2013 complicated that assumption. Researchers observed that dogs explored unfamiliar spaces more confidently when their owners were nearby, even without direct interaction. Presence alone changed behavior. What looked like dependency was often environmental calibration. Your dog may not be following because they cannot function without you. They may be following because you are the reference point their brain uses to evaluate uncertainty inside shared space.
That idea becomes clearer when you watch dogs in completely unfamiliar environments. In a 2015 study from Emory University, neuroscientist Gregory Burns used MRI scans to examine how dogs process human scent. The strongest positive brain responses appeared not from food or toys, but from the scent of familiar humans. Specific reward centers activated before owners even entered the room. To a dog, your presence is not passive background information. It changes the emotional texture of the environment itself. Think about your own house for a second. Your dog already knows every hallway, every doorway, every creak in the floorboards. So why keep checking where you are? Because dogs evolved as cooperative social navigators. Wolves survived by tracking movement inside the group. Domestic dogs adapted that instinct to human households. And inside your home, you became the moving center of safety, prediction, and social stability every single day. The surprising part is how early dogs begin learning this pattern. Puppies start mapping human movement long before formal training succeeds. A study published in Animal Cognition in 2011 found that dogs consistently looked toward humans during uncertain problem-solving tasks, even when independent solutions were possible. Researchers called this social referencing. Your reactions became information. Your movement became guidance. Over time, dogs stopped separating practical needs from emotional orientation. Walking toward the kitchen matters less than the fact that you moved at all. That explains something almost every owner has experienced. You stand up, only to grab a glass of water. Your dog follows halfway down the hall, watches you fill the cup, then calmly returns to the couch. They were never interested in the kitchen. They were updating their mental map of where the trusted member of the group moved next. And that pattern leads somewhere even deeper.
For older dogs especially, following behavior often increases quietly over time. Many owners assume aging dogs simply become more affectionate. Sometimes that is true, but canine cognition research from North Carolina State University in 2022 found that older dogs rely more heavily on familiar social cues as sensory certainty declines. Vision changes, hearing softens, environmental prediction becomes harder. Your location starts functioning almost like an emotional compass. That is why senior dogs often settle once they can physically see where you are, even across the room. In other words, constant following is not always about confidence disappearing. Sometimes it is the opposite. Familiar attachment allows dogs to manage uncertainty more efficiently. Your dog is not panicking because you moved. They are recalibrating the environment around the person their brain associates most strongly with stability. And once you notice that, even small routines begin carrying emotional weight you never intended. Look at what happens during ordinary evenings. You move toward the bedroom earlier than usual. Your dog notices immediately. You put on shoes at an unexpected hour. Ears lift, heads turn. Dogs are exceptional pattern detectors because survival once depended on predicting group behavior before danger appeared. Research from the University of Helsinki, published in 2021, showed dogs can anticipate familiar human routines using tiny environmental cues most people never consciously notice. The sound of keys, a shifted posture, different walking speed. Now imagine how large your behavior appears from a dog's perspective. Their world is smaller than yours. Fewer rooms, shorter timelines, narrower territories. Inside that smaller world, your movement carries enormous informational value. When you stand up from the couch, your dog does not just see motion. They see the possible beginning of separation, activity, food, protection, travel, or social interaction all at once. And their brain responds before conscious thought ever forms.
This also explains why some dogs follow one person more than everyone else. Attachment is not distributed equally inside households. Studies from the Family Dog Project at Jotvos-Lorand University found that dogs form stronger behavioral attachment patterns toward individuals associated with consistent routines, emotional predictability, and calm social signaling. Feeding matters, but emotional regulation matters more. Dogs often shadow the person whose behavior feels easiest to predict under stress. That silence when your dog waits outside a closed door is not empty. Their brain is listening, monitoring footsteps, estimating return, measuring whether the social unit remains connected. And interestingly, separation itself is not always the stressful part. Uncertainty is. Dogs tolerate absence far better when patterns remain predictable, which means the deeper story here is not dependence. It is trust built from repetition so consistent that your movement becomes part of how another species experiences emotional safety every day. Humans rarely think about how visible our emotional states become inside shared homes, but dogs do. A study from the University of Lincoln, published in 2016, found that dogs integrate human emotional expression into decision-making during uncertain tasks. Calm owners produced calmer exploratory behavior. Tension changed canine responses almost immediately. Your dog is constantly reading the emotional weather around you. Following becomes one way of keeping those signals close enough to interpret accurately. And that leads to one of the strangest realizations in the entire dog-human relationship. Your dog may know where you are emotionally long before you do. Not because they understand language the way humans do, but because they spend thousands of hours studying your movement, breathing, pacing, posture, and routine transitions. The quiet shadow walking behind you through the hallway may actually be one of the most attentive observers you will ever live beside.
There is another reason this behavior affects people so deeply. Humans evolved socially too. We are sensitive to being followed by trusted companions because shared movement once signaled survival inside human groups as well. That emotional comfort still exists. You feel it when your dog curls beside your chair after a difficult day. You feel it when they stand up the instant you leave the room, even without being called. The behavior creates continuity, presence, witnessing. A 2019 review in Frontiers in Psychology described the dog-human bond as a cross-species attachment system shaped by mutual responsiveness over thousands of years. Not ownership, not control, responsiveness. Your dog follows because your actions matter inside their emotional world. And over time, their quiet attention starts changing your behavior too. You check where they are before leaving the house. You move differently, more carefully, more connected than before. Now, return to that first ordinary moment. The couch cushion shifts. You walk toward another room. Seconds later, nails tap softly across the floor behind you. Earlier, that may have seemed routine, maybe even slightly annoying on busy days. But now the scene looks different. Your dog is not performing a simple habit. They are responding to a relationship built through thousands of repeated interactions your brain barely remembers. Shared mornings, predictable footsteps, quiet evenings, returns after absence. What if following behavior is actually evidence of something incredibly specific? Not blind loyalty, not dependency, but learned emotional orientation. Your dog built an internal map where your movement helps explain what happens next inside the world you share together. And once you recognize that, the behavior stops feeling random. It begins feeling deeply intentional in ways most owners never fully notice.
One day, without realizing it, you may begin slowing down when your dog follows you. You pause at doorways, wait for the soft sound behind you. These tiny adjustments happen because relationships change how bodies move through space together. Dogs learned human rhythms over thousands of years of coexistence. Humans adapted too. A 2023 review from Current Directions in Psychological Science described dog-human attachment as one of the clearest examples of emotional synchronization between species. Not perfect understanding, synchronization.
The quiet truth is that your dog probably does not follow you because they are obsessed with you. They follow because your presence organizes part of their emotional reality. Inside the small universe of your home, your movement carries meaning, safety, prediction, continuity. And every hallway your dog walks behind you is another reminder that companionship is often built from ordinary moments, repeated enough times to become trust.
The next time your dog stands outside the bathroom door or follows you into the kitchen for no obvious reason, you may notice the moment differently. Not as interruption, not as neediness, but as a quiet behavioral language shaped by evolution, routine, memory, and attachment across thousands of shared years between species. Inside your home, your dog is constantly orienting toward the person who makes the environment feel understandable.
And there is another behavior that reveals even more about how dogs experience emotional connection with humans. Some dogs sleep pressed against doors. Others wait silently at windows long before owners return home. The science behind that behavior may change how you understand absence itself.
If you want to continue, watch the next video, How Dogs Know You're Coming Home Before You Arrive.